Have you ever wondered what makes someone a true musical genius? Duke Ellington wasn't just an incredible composer or pianist. He was someone who perceived sounds in a way no one else could, turning notes into something that felt alive. But what was his secret? How did he manage to create music that still touches the soul of anyone who listens to it? Get ready, because today we're pulling back the curtain to uncover what truly made Duke Ellington an unparalleled master. Shall we begin? Duke Ellington was born on April 29, 1899, in Washington, D.C., United States. His full name was Edward Kennedy Ellington, but the world came to know him simply as Duke, a nickname he earned during childhood because of his elegant demeanor and refined posture. From an early age, music was a significant part of his environment. His parents, Daisy and James, were deeply proud of their roots and believed in the importance of education and culture for their children. It was his mother, in particular, who encouraged him to learn piano, even though he initially showed little interest. Interestingly, Duke only began taking piano seriously after hearing a friend named Harvey Brooks play with such skill that it inspired him, or perhaps even sparked a little envy. That moment ignited something within him. A fascinating story from the early days of Duke Ellington's musical journey is that, while other boys were busy with sports or playing games, Duke was already using his savings to attend local dance halls. There he observed how musicians interacted with the audience, soaking it all in like a sponge. It was during this time that he began composing his first songs as a teenager, showcasing a natural talent for crafting melodies that captured everyone's attention. Who would have thought that the boy who initially resisted practicing piano would go on to become one of the greatest figures in jazz? The pivotal moment that truly propelled Duke Ellington's career was his move to New York City in 1923 with his band, the Washingtonians. The city was the vibrant heart of jazz, and he soon secured a residency at the famous Cotton Club in Harlem. This gig was a game changer, as it placed Duke in front of a diverse and demanding audience, while opening the door to radio broadcasts that brought his music to listeners across the entire country. Two key figures played a significant role in shaping Duke Ellington's talent. First, drummer Sonny Greer, his musical partner for many years, who brought a touch of sophistication to the band's sound. And of course, Irving Mills, his manager, who recognized Duke's potential and helped him secure contracts and record his first successful works. Duke Ellington was always a trailblazer. He broke barriers by blending traditional jazz with orchestral elements, creating a more complex and refined sound. In the jazz world, where artists were often confined to a single style or format, Duke dared to experiment. He faced resistance for this, especially from critics who weren't ready to embrace his broader vision of music. One of his early performances that left audiences speechless was the 1927 recording of East Seat, Louis Toodle-oo. With its rich harmonies and the band's distinctive sound, led by Bubber Miley's muted trumpet effects, this piece introduced the world to Duke Ellington's unique musical voice. It was a defining moment that made it clear he wasn't just playing jazz, he was redefining what jazz could be. In his later years, Duke Ellington remained active in music but faced significant challenges, particularly related to his health. He was diagnosed with lung cancer and pneumonia, conditions that began to limit his appearances and activities. However, he remained determined to compose and perform whenever possible. Duke had an almost superhuman work ethic, which made it all the more remarkable that, even while weakened, he insisted on taking the stage. An intriguing and less discussed aspect of his final days was his deep bond with his son, Mercer Ellington, who took on many responsibilities for the band and his father's professional affairs. This symbolized a sort of passing of the torch, but was also a time of reflection for Duke, who was committed to keeping his music alive even as his health declined. Duke Ellington passed away on May 24, 1974, at the age of 75. The news of his death shocked the music world. Many of his colleagues and admirers paid tribute to the master, remembering him as someone who not only composed but redefined what was possible within jazz. His funeral, held at the Cathedral of St. John the Divine in New York City, drew thousands of people, including musicians, cultural leaders, and fans from all over the world. Duke Ellington's death was a profound blow to the world of jazz and music as a whole. For many, it felt like the end of an era. However, his work had already paved a lasting path, and his influence continues to inspire musicians of all generations. Even after his passing, his music remains alive, echoing through concert halls, clubs, and the hearts of those who listen. Duke Ellington's music was not just a form of entertainment, it was an emotional and cultural revolution for its time. At a moment when jazz was still in its early stages as an artistic expression, his compositions introduced complexity, depth, and an unexpected sophistication to the genre. He brought forth emotions that resonated with everyone, regardless of social class or ethnicity, allowing his sound to transcend barriers and touch the soul of society. To this day, Duke Ellington's compositions and arrangements are studied at the most prestigious music schools around the world as a benchmark of what is possible within jazz. His orchestration methods, his ability to blend different timbres and instruments, remain a profound field of study, showcasing the brilliance of his innovations. The way he structured his music, with harmonic surprises and unexpected rhythms, continues to serve as a model for creating something new without losing the essence of the genre. One of the artists most influenced by Duke Ellington was none other than Charles Mingus, one of the greatest jazz bassists and composers of all time. Mingus was deeply moved by the harmonic freedom and complexity of Ellington's music, and his own compositions reflect that inspiration. He often spoke about the importance of Duke to his music, seeing him as a master who opened doors for exploring improvisation and blending different styles within jazz. Duke Ellington's music continues to shape the way we understand art today. His ability to blend different musical forms and adapt them to new contexts turned jazz into a global medium of expression, connecting various cultures and ways of thinking. When we listen to an Ellington piece today, we realize that art doesn't have to be just a technical skill. It is a language capable of conveying deep and complex emotions, reflecting who we are and how we relate to the world around us. What would music have been like if Duke Ellington had never existed? How does his transformative vision of jazz still echo in every note we hear today? Ellington was not just a master of his time. He was someone who dared to imagine the future of music in ways that few have ever achieved. His ability to combine complexity with accessibility, tradition with innovation, allowed his music to transcend generations, and his influence extends far beyond what the ears can perceive. He didn't just shape jazz, he helped redefine what art can represent, a universal language that crosses all boundaries of time and culture. If you also wonder how these masters can still teach us to see the world in a different way, subscribe to the channel and follow more stories of artists who, like Ellington, continue to inspire us to think and feel in new ways. Let's keep this conversation going.